Kim Harrison is a solicitor who specialises in abuse cases. She joins me now. Good afternoon. Kim, the first thing that strikes me about this is the amount of time that's passed between the offences and the conviction. I mean, more than 40 years. That's not typical, is it?
It can take a very long time for victims of sexual abuse to come forward, particularly if this sort of abuse occurred when they were children. As you can imagine, people feel very ashamed, people feel very guilty, people feel like it's their fault. And if you're a child and this has happened to you, you won't often understand why it's happened or that it's wrong. So, I mean, we have clients who phone us up and they've been abused 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago. I would say 40 years is a long time, but it's not unheard of.
Does that make getting a conviction more difficult? Because so much water has gone under the bridge. The weight of evidence must be pretty slim, really, sometimes, isn't it?
I think it's obviously a matter for the police and the Crown Prosecution Service as to what evidence they need. And obviously a jury's got to be convinced beyond reasonable doubt in a courtroom. I think in this particular case the gentleman did plead guilty, so that wasn't an issue once the matter was brought to court. However, I think mainly obviously if there's more than one victim, then that adds to the weight of evidence, as I understand it. In this particular case, the two sisters didn't even realise that the other had been abused until much later on, until they were adults.
But once that is known and you've got more than one person saying the abuse has taken place, then clearly there's a case to be brought. What I'm trying to get to is, if somebody's watching and they're in that tragic situation of having been abused, they shouldn't ever think it's too late to come forward, should they? Not
at all. And usually it just takes one person to come forward to maybe uncover a lot more. And we act for clients where one client has come forward to the police and then that's set off an investigation, which has then revealed that 10, 15, 20, you know, other people who have been abused, and then they're able to see justice done and the perpetrator locked behind bars.
It's very unlikely the perpetrator, it happens, but it's unlikely they abuse just one child, isn't it?
Obviously, it's different. You know, it can happen like that, but obviously, unfortunately, the nature of paedophilia is usually if you are a paedophile, then you are going to abuse again and again. It's very compulsive behaviour. It's incredibly sad for the victims, some of whom then feel very guilty that they haven't come forward sooner, and maybe they would have prevented other victims, but they shouldn't feel like that because it's not their fault, because they were children, you know.
You're in the legal profession. Well, at what point in proceedings do people come to you? Because it sounds to me that almost you sometimes half solicitor, half counsellor.
Sometimes it can feel a bit like that. They usually come to us. Sometimes the police can refer them on. Sometimes they come to us direct. Usually, once a criminal conviction has happened, people then want to see if they can seek a civil claim to seek redress through the courts for themselves and their families, and that's when they would come to us. But people can come to us at all different stages.
Will people ever contact you initially rather than the police?
Yes.
And say, help me please, 20 years ago this happened?
Yes, I mean, they can do, and obviously if that happens, the first thing that we would say to them is, you know, you must go to the police, you know, not just for the sake of any sort of civil case, but, you know, for your own sake, for the sake of justice being done. It's very important that that's done.
The emotions they're dealing with have been bottled up for a very long time, and there are you sitting opposite them in your solicitor's office. Yeah. It must get quite heated sometimes. I mean, not heated, you know what I mean, quite emotional. Yes,
it does. I mean, obviously, usually once someone's come to us, they've made the decision that they want to talk about it. So, you know, you have to, you know, take it at their own steam, and obviously, you know, you have to make sure that it's their case, it's what they want to do, that things are brought under their control. You can't force the issue in that way. But in terms of the police as well, I know, for example, at Greater Manchester Police, there are trained officers specially trained to deal with...
Worth making that point, isn't it? There's lots of support. If you do come forward, there's lots of emotional support. You're not going to be just left willy-nilly in the legal system.
Not at all, and often, you know, counselling is recommended as one of the things that can be pursued through the courts to obtain money for that.
Terrific. Well, let's hope if anybody is in that tragic situation, they get inspiration from this case. Kim, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Nice to have met you.